we do. And we're just waiting for a few more humans to join us. And it's still a few minutes early. And you know what happens for people who are just joining us is a now I'm calling you Court, Cosmo. We have to get like the C words, right? Cosmo and I have these big conversations about like what's turning us on in relationship and sex, and how are there different ways to enter this conversation about sex and relationship that you haven't heard as an audience over and over again. And so, Ellen Sophia has joined us.
Welcome.
Hi, Ellen Sophia. So happy you came. Um, so, we come up with these like big ideas about how we're going to talk about this, about really concepts that you might know or may not know, but by putting it in a different frame, right? How we can make it new again or different, like put a new lens to it. But then what happens, I'm going to tell you guys a secret before everyone gets here. Then what happens is, Rosalind has joined us twice. Then what happens is the title comes up of what we're going to be talking about, and I go to Cosmo. What were we thinking when we came up with this? I remember we were so excited. We were brilliant in thinking. I'm fighting with light about this idea. So why don't we do one more minute? We'll give people one more minute to get on, and then we'll start. But I had that moment again today when I connected with Cosmo, and I looked at the art of Kintsugi. Close, but no cigar.
Yeah, Kintsugi.
And hi Angela, excited that you're joining us. And I thought once again, what were we smoking that night, Cosmo? I know, something by clicks. Something by click. We were smoking something by clicks. Anyway, so we got excited again, and so here we are. We're talking about golden repair. Golden repair.
The art
and
of Kintsugi.
The art of Kintsugi. And Christy has joined us, and Connie has joined us. People are just pouring in. Welcome, 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 everybody. And hi Josh and Naomi. Love having you here. And we're going to begin the art of golden repair. So when we were thinking about golden repair, especially like right now in this world, what's your number one thought, Cosmo?
Oh, number one thought. Let's see. Okay, let's back it up a minute. Let's do
backing it up.
Let's do a grounding, centering with everyone.
Okay, I'm ready. You're going to lead this then. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, let's go, because the number one thought's going to emerge, right? So I want to really like tap into everyone that's here and what's emerging from them right now today, and even from us, because we talk in these massive sagas and then put a title on it, as you said, but like I really want to get to the core of what's like hot today. Okay, so let's get grounded in. So wherever you are, let's just give a little shake. Take a big breath together, and let's just all recognize that no matter where you are, we can't see you, but we can feel you. And let's make sure that everyone's feet are nicely planted on the ground, whether you're standing or seated. And you don't have to close your eyes, but let your eyelids soften. Okay, like just let your eyelids soften, let your shoulders soften, and just feel the earth under your feet and recognize, just recognize that we're all touching the same earth. We're all relentlessly supported by the same earth here together right now, no matter where we're calling in from or tuning in from. And let's start this call, this webinar today from that place of grounding. And so if your eyes are soft but actually closed, I'm going to invite you to open them and stare straight ahead beyond your screen, beyond Pamela and I, and even if it's at a wall, just like make a laser pointed focus straight ahead of you. Okay. And then I'm going to invite you to just take a couple of breaths there. I'm going to invite you to turn and just gaze over your left shoulder, turning not just your head, but your shoulder. So you're engaging your psoas muscles and just looking directly behind you. And just taking a breath there. Coming all the way back to center. And taking your gaze all the way up to the sky. And then bringing your gaze all the way down to the ground or to the earth. And then coming back to center. And then we're going to look over our right shoulder, all the way back, turning both your head and your shoulder. Really wanting to engage your torso. And then coming back to join us at center. And just take a pause. And I'm just going to stop saying anything for a second and then just invite each one of you, wherever you're at, to just notice what you feel in your body. Notice what is emerging from your body as you ground, as you center. Yeah. And from that place, just going to give you a quick little run through of the spirit of Kintsugi, what we're here to explore today, all while you're kind of in this grounded, centered space. Okay, so we all know that we all in some way get hammered by life. Okay, we have various instruments of change, let's call it. So this hammer is like something that breaks us. In the moment, it feels like breaking. Okay, we all, however we show up, feel this brokenness in various times in our life. Okay, and so the invitation is to sit with the pieces. Don't rush in to fix. Notice the brokenness. Okay, notice what emerges for you as that broken aspect of self. And then we're going to go into redefining. This is a little bit of an overview of what we're going to talk through today. So we're going to redefine what wholeness looks like, okay? And particularly as we pick up these pieces slowly after noticing them, we're going to address that the connection that we have with others and with things in our life is the glue that helps put us back together. Okay, so that
the gold.
Feeling happiness in connection, not perfection. Okay, this is a really juicy point, that through connection, not perfection. And then the gold that fills in those cracks, that connection, that gold, highlights the map of our journey through life. Okay? So that's our walk all the way through this invitation into golden rejoining, or the art of Kintsugi. So let's start with number one. Let's talk about like these instruments of change. Okay, so if anyone has anything like, you know, and this is the more vulnerable or transparent, anyone that wants to share around, you know, what is getting hammered, what, you know, other than getting hammered, but, you know, what instruments of change have you experienced in your life that have just shattered who you thought you were and broken you into pieces? And so maybe I'll ask you, Pamela, and we can invite others to join us if they want.
Thanks. Gee, thanks, Cosmo. I'm still fighting with the angel light.
Quite like
You know, I think, right, you know, I think that during this time right now, which is such a complicated time in human history, you know, we're fighting a worldwide pandemic. We are addressing issues of race. We are, many people, as a side note of COVID-19, are getting hammered financially, or they're not. They're dealing with isolation and rituals and routines that they depended on. Like, you know, we're creatures of habit and routine. And so if your routine was that every day you woke up and you went to the gym, not being able to do that habit, that routine every day could actually hammer somebody. And I know that may seem crazy, but I know people who are literally in other countries that they didn't expect to be in, people who are separated from lovers and partners, people who are too much with their partners, you know, people who are finding themselves homeschooling, who never expected to homeschool, and so they're, you know, their privacy, their erotic lives. Honestly, I could go on and on with this list forever, because there's been so many ways and so many various instruments of change in our lives right now that we may not see as a fabulous opportunity. But I can tell you one that's been a fabulous opportunity.
Yeah, do.
You want to hear one that's like yummy?
Yeah.
And been challenging for us?
Yeah.
So where the pandemic was an instrument of change for our work, and we are sexological body workers. We are sex and relationship and touch professionals. We communicate through our hands and through breath and through sound and through movement. Cosmo has been working with me for years now, and at retreats around the world, and where we lay hands and move with women. And now we have had to work with it. I'm going to use your language, an instrument of change. And how do we connect with all of you who are here right now and countless other humans, literally through the glass? Because we can't actually touch you. We're used to touching you and holding you, and yes, talking, and but breathing. And so how do we, as a team, continue to bring to the world somatic education, which means through the body? How is that for one? Do you like that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one.
And it's a big one. And it's something that we have, as a team, because we have a beautiful large team, struggled with, like, oh, how do we do this? And we're doing it, aren't we?
We are doing it. It took a minute. Yeah, it took a minute. And
it took maybe 5.
Maybe 5 minutes. And that's, you know, that's the sitting with the pieces, right? So we definitely sat with the pieces. Yeah, and so You know, we're getting a message from one of the people joining us here. So saying that, you know, we all get hammered. So an unplanned pregnancy, right? And so just
Mm-hmm.
choosing not to have the baby. Okay. So let's just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, one of the things around getting hammered and what we're inviting in this process is taking like a sacred pause to really sit
With that feeling.
the feeling with the pieces that are left, you know,
Mm-hmm.
rather than finding an answer, finding a solution, letting your mind create a strategy around what's going on, but rather just feeling it. So that's, you know, that's the invitation that even through the screen, even through glass, we can make with our presence together. We can make with ourselves, with breath. And so that's a deep learning there. Is just no matter where we are, that's why we reference the earth, because we're all on it. And so that's a source of connection despite the distance. So
And the noticing, I think, as we talked about, is to sit with the pieces of all of it, to sit with the brokenness of an unplanned, or something that is not as deep and painful as an unplanned pregnancy, and having to not rush in and to make those changes and to adjust. So, and what unfolds for us when we make um, these very big decisions in our life.
mm-hmm,
And I don't know what those choices are going to mean for this human who is choosing not to have the baby and to have, and I think that's a very large conversation.
mm,
Um, but what I do know is that every time we sit with the pieces of what seems like, how are we going to do this?
mm,
Whatever that thing is, it's not that we just even get to do it, but that by the doing, by the being open to filling the broken pieces with gold,
mm,
that at the end of whatever the process is, you have a work of art. So
mm,
whether it's a stronger connection with your husband or your family, a stronger appreciation for children in your life, or and what you have. For us, it's been a deeper, as a company, it's been a deep appreciation of how we are able to reach through the glass and hold our women and provide that support. Um, so it's sort of, if you want to take it from here, Cosmo, a redefining of what that wholeness can look like, and that can be in the erotic realm, and that can be because people, I've had conversations with women today who are in our everyday program, which is our virtual immersion program, and who are talking like, gee, I want to feel sexy. I want to feel sexy. I don't feel sexy. I
mm,
don't. I don't feel sexy. And not only do I don't feel sexy, I'm not that motivated to feel sexy, even though what I want is to feel sexy,
mm-hmm,
because, the people are trapped in the house and they're this and they're that and they've got kids running around their feet, and so it's sort of like, how do you redefine like what even sexy is?
mm-hmm,
When you're looking at redefining what the wholeness looks like, and healing happens in connection and not perfection. Well, what does that look like for a woman who is really wanting to feel sexy
mm,
and, don't feel sexy? How do we bring the conversation there?
mm-hmm. Okay, so let's just check in with that. So we've got like what would be a shift, you know, something. I mean, first off, sitting with the pieces around not feeling, you know, that sexiness, sensualness, eroticism in your body. That, I mean, that would be the beginning, is just kind of like, okay, like feeling that,
Feeling the hammered feeling, number
feeling the
one.
hammered, and then also just feeling the brokenness or the, the lack, whatever that is. And so when we, when we say, okay, well, what, first of all, it's just like feeling that, because we know through, the most current science that basically if we just wash over that brokenness, then what happens is that we may kind of get our minds around it, but our body stores it. So our body won't have had the opportunity to process, and there will be something unprocessed in our bodies. And as we age, all these things that we don't sit with and give space to. I got wishing to feel hammered. That's good. I like that. But all the things that we don't sit with and give space to kind of start to pile up, right? And so by giving space to the brokenness and really feeling it, then we can begin to identify what our individual glue is. Okay. So, and we start to look from this place for connection rather than a story to get us out of this place, some type of story or strategy. We start to build connection or even culture around ourselves to connect. Okay. So one of those pieces of glue might even be this webinar today, right? One might be the everyday program where people are making a conscious choice to reach out. One just might be, calling a family member, asking for an unplanned erotic exploration with a partner that you just are going to like try to figure it out, right? I'm going to
You know what I did today?
Packing up and
That
restarting
was
country after an abrupt and painful separation. Okay, that's a hammering for sure.
so. Can we do a pause right before we take that?
Yeah.
I just want to finish with the woman who wants to feel sexy, and just put out like one thing. And this is going to seem really silly, but sometimes redefining or finding how we do that can be the simplest of things. So in cleaning out my drawers today, because everyone's spring cleaning, right? Like, what else are you doing? I found sex dice. It's like spin the bottle when you were a kid. So like it says suck, lick, squeeze, bite, It's fun. It's silly. So what if everybody bought, you go online for like $5, you can buy sex dice. And you and your partner like be 15 for 2 minutes. Take it out, throw them on the bed, and play with sex dice. You may not be feeling sexy, but when you shake it and you get, suck something or squeeze tits, or all of a sudden you giggle and you laugh, and you know what? You might start to feel sexy. So that's just, I'd always love to give some little silly tidbit that is fun and inexpensive, and that you don't have to like ejaculate in golden rainbow colors. Sometimes $5 sex dice, like spin the bottle, only more advanced, can make you feel sexy and alive again, being playful. So let's go to the next one. I apologize.
No, that's good.
I don't know why I'm apologizing.
Okay. So this is packing up and restarting life in a new country after an abrupt and painful separation. Okay, so boom, the hammer, right? We feel that. And then this guest is saying, what I want most isn't necessarily feeling sexy, or that is a part of it, but I want to become the true lover to myself that I have never been. And it really became clear in a vulva mapping session with one of our other practitioners.
So let me just explain that for a second. Let's just explain that. So in our everyday program, which is our virtual retreat model, one of our female sexological body workers, Caitlin, is doing vulva mapping with our women once a month. And that is done through Zoom with a group of women, and it's private, and where they explore how to touch and feel their vulvas. And women have had just extraordinary experiences, like she is saying, that in the vulva mapping experience, this guided, almost guided vulva meditation touch experience, what she found was how to be a true lover. She experienced, wanting to become a true lover to herself. I wanted to explain that for those of you who aren't in our everyday program.
Yeah. And so, that tells a story, right? That tells about a connection to self that may not have been explored, let's say, had there not been this crushing moment of like a connection with another being broken. So it really turns one into self for that connection. And so that's a really beautiful example, and thank you for sharing that. So we have another guest that's saying, and this is great. Everyone is, being vulnerable and talking about the hammer, right? This is a big part. So
right. So thank you for bringing us the hammer.
Yeah. Really just wanting to say thank you for bringing this. So I'm going through a divorce, ending a 19-year relationship with a man I've been with since I was 19, and had to deal with infidelity and domestic violence towards the end. So that's a pretty major hammer. And let's just, before creating a strategy or a story around that, let's just, this is the practice right here, is feeling the impact of how that lands in your body, that person that's sharing that, but also all of us, and how that relates to someone we know that have gone through that, or our own self that has, and just what kind of layers did it leave in us that maybe haven't been sat with, haven't been absorbed and addressed.
And I think what's important, it really is, in all these things, is that don't rush in.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rush in to heal. And I think that there's so many people around us in our culture who say, well, aren't you over that yet? Mm-hmm. Whatever it is. Aren't you over that yet? We want to hurry grief. We want to, and I am the slowest lever in the universe. Cosmo can attest to this. I am the slowest lever. I would have been with the abuser. Not that I am right now, but I would have been with all the things. And I would have been kicking that dead horse. And I would have, I would have sat with all the broken pieces, but then I would have said, but I think his nose moved. And maybe there's a little life there. And then, because I really want to sit with those pieces, okay? So, I encourage you to actually stay with the bones as long as you need to, and don't be rushed in moving forward. And what I will tell you from my own experience, which doesn't mean that it will be your experience, is one, when I allow myself to grieve for as long as it takes, and it could be 3 years until I'm done kicking a dead horse. All right? Forgiving myself. But then what I always have found out is at the end of that time, something has really shifted in my life in a super big way. And somehow I was left with a bigger, more beautiful piece of art than what I had, even though it was unimaginable to me. And Cosmo would tell you this is true, because he's been with me a long time. And he's seen me with a few dead horses. and what happens is that when you're done, when you're really, really done, you will be sending that man a gift basket. You will be sending him the most beautiful gift basket, because by the experience and by the leaving, you are now on such a bigger, more beautiful place in your journey. And you will have all the lessons and all the strength. It will happen for you. I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that it will be easy or fast. But remember these words. One day, you're going to send that guy a gift basket, and you're going to be grateful. How provocative of that for me to say, Cosmo. You want to just slap me silly?
No, no, definitely not slap you silly, but it is provocative, and the idea that we would we would thank our divorced partners for the lessons we've learned is really a beautiful concept. It's definitely, it takes time. Yeah. I would definitely say that a big hammer for me was a divorce of 15-year marriage. And it took, it took years, but that, my ex is a very close friend now, and it did take a long time to, sort of see the gold in those cracks and those wounds. But it's there, it is there. And it took 6, 7, 8 years to be able to recognize and see that map that really makes us who we are. I think, as we start to get this glue, this connection, it's like what we choose for ourselves as the glue to put ourselves back together will define our story, right? So that gold is going to stand out and map our journey. And if we really allow it, so this is a really big piece that what I've noticed is, even by sharing a personal piece of information about, my life, divorce or whatever, is that when I, and especially as a sex educator, when I share my own trials and tribulations of what, shame and challenges brought me to even being a sex educator, I realize that's the better gold, that people can see that journey and identify with the pain, the struggle, the shame, the trauma, rather than tell them about how great it is where I am, oh, here's, not to say that, where you end up after making changes and also positive and great to share, because we want to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel sometimes as well. But, the learning tool, or the thing that I think we all can relate to is the cracks, those cracks that, are so individual, so unique, like a snowflake, like they're just our wrinkles, these wrinkles that I'm getting on my eyes here.
And they're gorgeous. It's kind of what you were saying before about redefining what wholeness looks like in our life.
Yeah.
And especially right now in this world, how are we redefining what wholeness looks like? And if you were to map your journey, right, like map your sexual journey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, mine was certainly long and varied. It's still going on, thank God. The highlights of the map are beautiful and interesting, and there are mountains and galleys and all kinds of things going on. And how we navigate that is a willingness to stay with something, to stay with the feelings, to stay with the journey. So, okay, that didn't work. Got it, feel it, but I'm still on my journey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going forward. That relationship didn't work. That plan didn't work. But I'm on my journey. And it's the willingness, it's the resilience of the human spirit that we are continuing. I mean, look at us. We're all walking around with masks on our faces together, right? So, I got a big sigh. We are all kind of doing something historic together right now on a journey. And sometimes I'm thinking about, well, what's the sexiness in my mask? Like, where can I find the pleasure in my mask? Right? Like, where's the gold? Where's the gold in my mask? And so now I now have like 15 masks. They work. I should have put it right here. I have one that has leopard spots that match my outfit. you know, and so like, where's the gold? Well, I have a new thing to play with. I'm
New
purple one
accessory.
day, a new accessory, and can I feel sexy in my mask? I'm sexy in my mask, you know? Like, I had a lover once who, I mean, he must be so happy right now because it's all about latex gloves. He only wanted to wear latex gloves all the time. So, like, you know, if you have a latex fetish, this could be a really great time for you because you can wear your gloves everywhere you go. So, for that man, this is really a time where there are amazing
Okay.
erotic gold fillings
Yeah.
in COVID-19 because he can walk around with black dragon latex gloves everywhere. So
Mm.
where do we source our sexiness in these moments? Is it, you know, how can we take the mundane? How
Mm.
can we take what is boring us, what is, you know, hammering us? I'm telling people, like, people are like, I'm so bored with my sex life right now. I can't. Well, you know what? There's, for those of you who don't know about this, I'm less being, you know, my buddy over here, Cosmo, is being very spiritual. And I'm about to talk to you about Dipsy. Do you know what Dipsy is, Cosmo? Do you know
Uh-uh.
Dipsy? But
No.
just so you know, I make no money on Dipsy. I make no money on any products. I'm going to say yet. Not that I have time to be that kind of influencer. But Dipsy, maybe I can write the name for people here. DIP, I think it's SEA, is an app. Can you double check me, Cosmo? It's an app
Okay.
that you can sign up for that tells you sexy stories. And
Oh.
so if you are really bored of your self-pleasure, because everyone is telling you right now, oh, you need touch, be your own lover. If somebody, I have to be honest, if somebody tells me to masturbate one more time, I think my head is going to spin. Okay, it's like, thank you, I've got that. I've got the masturbation down. I know, touch myself. Yes, I got it. So, but what might be helpful is what's fun and sexy that you can do differently in
Mm-hmm.
this time of feeling hammered by sexual boredom. So, a little piece of gold could be a flower. And
Mm-hmm.
so, Dipsy is erotic stories, and it's done very, very well. And you
Huh.
can do it with a female. You can choose a female voice, a male voice. It could be you in that voice, or it could be a whole scenario and a dialogue. They're doing some great stuff on that Dipsy app,
Huh.
and let that be a little bit of something different, a little bit of gold to fill in your erotic boredness. Angela is saying, what does genuine self-love, self-acceptance fit in with this gentle search for the glue or gold that will put us back together? If we struggle in this area, will any of the other stuff out there ever work? I got to tell you, Angela,
Mm.
that and I'm sure that Kazo will have a different answer. So
Mm-hmm.
isn't that great? You're going to have like chocolate and vanilla. I think that that self-love is different than self-acceptance. So first of all, okay? And you, like, self-love becomes this thing, this other thing that I've got to get right,
Mm.
okay? Like, I've got to love myself. Well, I don't always love myself. Sometimes I'm such a jerk, or sometimes I do something I think is wonderful and I'm, you know, flayed publicly. Like, no, that was wrong. You're wrong, Pamela. You know, it's sort of hard to feel self-love all the time. You know, sometimes my thighs wiggle in ways I don't love. It's hard to love that. I'm sorry. I'm a body self-acceptance advocate. I don't always love my thighs. So there. It's just truth. And so, Angela, if and everybody out there, if we can just have some self-compassion,
Mm.
if you can just have some self-compassion that might lead to a little self-acceptance, that's the glue, darling.
Mm.
You've got that. That's the glue. So if you can just work with a little bit of self-acceptance, a little bit of self-compassion, and every once in a while, me like being, oh wow, aren't I pretty? Oh, that was self-love. It happened. right there in that moment. Celebrate that. But let self-love not be this like Mount Fuji
Mm,
of self-acceptance and self-compassion.
mm.
And the other part of the question maybe you can take is, if we struggle in this area, will any of the other stuff out there work? You want to take that part,
Oh yeah.
Cosmo? Okay.
So, I mean, I won't get too far out there because I could go with the out there, um, really truly being about in here. But let's just let's start with saying that the self-love and self-acceptance is a form of connection, right? This is a form of connection with self, and that is the glue. That is the gold. So now it's
Mm-hmm.
not the only form of connection. It's not the only glue, but it is one of the glues, and it isn't out there. It's definitely right here, right now in our bodies. And so I would say that probably, my most stable reminders of this are what I did right in the beginning is my breath and my feet on the ground. Okay. So those two things, they might seem so simple and it's like, oh, everybody says that. Everyone says that. But if we take a sacred pause and we slow down enough to really, truly feel, and one of the ways that I do this is I will exhale as much air as I possibly can and hold my breath.
Can we all try that? I just did it like
So
spontaneously,
just
but can
take
we
a
all
deep
try it?
breath in and blow all your air out. And I'm going to keep talking, but hold your breath and picture you're in space. And then all of a sudden, as you can barely hold your breath, you pass through into the atmosphere and you're on this planet that has air that you can breathe. And then you're not only floating, but now you somehow have landed, and it's not only got air you can breathe, but it's got earth that is a relentless form of support and connection with all living things, all beings. And so those two elements are primary sources of glue for me, of breath and connection to the ground, to the earth. So for me, I'm in my garden. I put my face down on my, yoga mat or whatever on the ground, the carpet when I'm stretching, and just feel the support. And that support is just always there. And so that for me is something that I definitely work, as glue into it. And it helps me feel connection to my body, feel centered, feel love. And from that place, I would actually say that's the jumping off point to connection with others, right? And without that first connection with self, sometimes others, and this others are out there can seem scary. That even that idea of doing work out there can seem scary.
And thank you for that. Um, and so Crystal did a thank you, and everyone can read her response. I hope you'll send him a big gift basket one day. And yes, it's an opportunity. We're all in an opportunity. Like even when we didn't want the opportunity. Right? Like sometimes we don't want the opportunity. It's like, wow, another fucking human growth opportunity. Yay!
Slow down.
Yay!
Another hand.
Yeah, another hammer. Wow, I get to like feel that. Isn't that amazing? Um, what I, kind of always just sort of like tell myself again is, well, I'm alive, aren't I?
Hmm.
I'm in my aliveness. And sometimes I wonder if we wouldn't be bored if there wasn't some hammers in our life.
Hmm.
If life would just become so monochromatic. Like, what would have been interesting about Dorothy going down the yellow brick road
Hmm.
if there wasn't an apple tree throwing apples, if there wasn't a scarecrow and there wasn't a lion, if it was just her skipping in her ruby slippers to find the wizard, who turned out anyway just to be a little old man behind behind a curtain, and she had it inside herself all the time. But what would life have been that interesting? We want things. We actually need hammers in our life. We need things to crack. That's how we find opportunities. That's how we find our new paths. That's how we have better orgasm. I'm
Mm,
going there.
mhm.
That's how
Of
we
course
have
you are.
better orgasm. It's how we, I'm sorry?
I said, of course you are.
Right. That's what we do, right? I mean, that's how we get more embodied. That's how we have better relationship, is when we're willing to go deeper and get in those cracks and then get the gold and glue it together. And, you know,
And be
you
uncomfortable.
wrote, and be uncomfortable. Oh, fuck. I am so good at that, Cosmo. I am the queen of uncomfortable.
No.
I'm uncomfortable like every day, maybe 5 times a day. I have hammers, and I look good, hair shiny, sparkly glasses, you know, because life, I think sometimes we would be like parrots in a cage, pulling out our own feathers from boredom.
Mm,
If life didn't throw us curveballs, if
mm,
we weren't always yearning
mhm,
for something different or new, or we weren't going deeper into some part of our relationship life, or challenging ourselves erotically,
mm.
challenging ourselves in business or relationship or our own sexuality. Um, I am so much more delicious with my golden cracks.
This is that reminds me of, so, you know, in the art of kintsugi, um, so they actually, originally I thought they were taking old bowls or potteries that were broken and fixing them. But interestingly enough, they actually break the bowl. So they take a perfectly, you know, together bowl and wrap it in a cloth. It has to be a ceramic bowl, but that's good. So they
Not
wrap it
this bowl, not this bowl.
kind of, holds it all together, and then they actually use a physical hammer as the instrument of change, and they give it a knock, and I'm kind of, I'm watching this process, and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, why would you break the bowl? And so you know, that's the question, is like, in that moment, they're kind of playing both creator and the created, right? And so the question is like, what's the service of the hammer? What service does that offer us? And what you're describing, Pamela, is like, this unfolding that we may, I think there's a surrendering into this, and this is getting a bit esoteric, but you know me, surrendering into this land that we're in, this planet, this body that we're in, as a schoolroom, as a place of learning. And that, these gold lines map how our willingness to show them, especially, maps our journey for others to see. And possibly even as we age and our lines start to define and show the map of our journey, we become, potentially wise elders that can show others that, yeah, no matter what hammers you, what breaks you, your willingness to sit with that, I'm getting the goosebumps right now, will be what defines you, and what will then be a legacy to the youth that look up to you, and look for your stories and look for your lines. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I'm going to take us from there, and I want to actually make an invitation. I'm going to put a link over here. I'm going to see if I'm able to do this right. Here's a link. We're going to hope this works. Here's a link. Enter. I did it. So what is that link? You might want to know, what is that link? We are putting on a new event because we got hammered. As sexological body workers, we got hammered and we went looking for the gold and we sat with the pieces and we created a passport to pleasure. I'll write the name here. It's called Passport to Pleasure. And that is the entire Back to the Body team, all the guys, all the girls, and we are going to actually take you into workshop space virtually. Virtually. And I'm not going to put the dates there. You can click on it. It's at the end of the month. It's an evening. It's 2 or 3 hours. And we're going to charge you $25 just because we want to make sure that you're going to value it and show up. Not that we want to make money, but we know if you pay $2 that you'll show up. And we're actually going to take you on a journey. I popped the link there, and was it not to all panel? It was for me to all panelists.
You got to go click on all panelists and attendees. So you sent it to me.
Oh, all panelists and attendees. Thank you, Crystal. There we go. There it is. And that's Passport to Pleasure. And we're going to be demonstrating to you how you even could do sexological body work virtually. We're going to be working in teams, male-female teams. We're going to have breakout rooms. And Cosmo and Caitlin are going to teach about sensei touch. And I'm going to be doing fantasy play with Court. And there's going to be 4 different workshops. And I can't read them all off the top of my head right now. Though, yes, I can. Because I can just click here. And so it's going to have, breath work to drop deeper into your body. There's going to be this demonstration of sexological body work, a demonstration, as I said, of fantasy play, sensation and touch play. There's going to be a workshop on how trauma is healed through touch. We're going to be using sound and movement to increase mind-body connections. And as I said, there's going to be a virtual demo of sexological body work, which is like really exciting. And yes, massive heart-eyed emoji. Yes, baby. So that's our goal, is that we are working really hard to reach through the glass to bring you this somatic work. And we hope you'll check this out. We hope that you will see it as an opportunity to go on a new erotic journey with us, to move out of places of feeling hammered, perhaps, to find some joy, to find a new path on a map that you're creating right now. And so I hope you'll check it out. I hope you'll register and join us for this. We've never done this before. And again, like that's us sending, I don't know that we'd send COVID-19 a huge thank you basket, but I think we would send an opportunity to think differently about how to provide deeply embodied, fun, delicious, healing, transformational work through the glass. And yes, we're still doing retreats. The retreat schedule is up, and we're planning more into next year. And I think the 2 that it's in the fall, September and October, may be sold out. People are coming, but you can check it out. But what's true is that we've created something because of a hammer. And it's gold, and it's for you. And the date's on your anniversary. Well, there you go. That's really that's amazing. So you can come. Yeah, right. Talk about repatterning. I spoke over him. I wanted you to hear that. And so I hope you guys will do that. Does anyone have, as we're coming to the close of the hour, any questions for us, or a habit that they want to share, or a question about difficulty in sex, relationship, eroticism that they want to share with us? And there he is smelling his flowers. Yeah. Anyone? Anyone got something for us? You can just send us some love. Love is always good. I enjoy these online seminars, and I enjoy being able to do a free offering. Are you reading? Is somebody writing to us? I
Got
got really excited.
my
My
husband's too
husband's too
tired. Too tired
tired.
for what? Shall I ask? Oh,
Oh, Roz said some love. Thank you, Roz.
too
Too
tired.
tired for
You know,
sex.
okay, so here's the thing. So this is a real simple one, okay? So change the time of day, okay? Because you can't be too tired first thing in the morning, and you can't be too tired at lunchtime. I mean, you could be, but change the time of day. That's another repatterning, and that's something, especially with lots of kids around, you know, you have to kind of change things, right? At the end of the day is not always the best time, even though that's nighttime and that's when we're in
Or
our,
after a meal.
yeah,
Don't do it
not
after
right
a
after a
meal.
meal.
Valentine's Day is going to be, no, bad. Don't go for
Yeah.
the meal. So
Sex
if you
first,
want,
then eat.
right, no wine, no booze,
Yeah.
no anything. And you know what also is a good time? Another good time is 3 a.m., like in the middle of the night. In the middle of in the middle of the night,
You're welcome,
when you're,
Sabrina. Yeah, 3 a.m. is
thank you,
hot. That's
Sabrina.
That is
You
good.
know, like
Yeah.
middle of the night dream cycle sex, when you just sort of like touching and initiating, and try initiating. And Roz is saying no meal first, but she's laughing. Um, oh, thank you. Naomi said that she emailed me a picture of her kintsugi heart to share.
I want to see it.
I'm not that. I'm not that technical to be able to do that and still be on Zoom, Naomi. But thank you. And then we'll take this last question. Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't get what it is to sit with it. What do
Mm.
you mean by that?
Yeah.
Um, well, what does it mean to sit in our discomfort, or to sit with a feeling, or to sit in pleasure?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It means not moving away.
Uh-huh.
It means
Perfect.
staying in the, it just means not moving away, not distracting from the feeling, whether
Uh-huh.
it's a physical feeling or an emotional feeling. It means like, oh, wow, like, someone just told me something beautiful. So, like, let's pretend that Cosmo just gave me a compliment. Go for it, Cosmo. Come on. Come on.
I
Give me a
love the
compliment.
color of your lipstick.
He loves the color of my lipstick. Now, I could like be in that for a minute, right? I could sit with the fact that Cosmo likes the color of my lipstick, and I could like really enjoy. No, he likes the color of my lipstick. Maybe I'd even like reach over and get more lipstick and reapply it and really be in, look at the color of my lipstick, Cosmo,
Mm-hmm.
and be with that. Or I could go, oh, that's nice. Cosmo likes the color of my lipstick. So, Naomi, tell me about,
Yeah.
how you're feeling today.
Yeah.
Like, not at all absorb the pleasure of the compliment, or the pain of a death or a separation, or somebody offering you nurturance,
Mm-hmm.
love, kindness, food. Oh, I don't need that. So sitting in it
Yeah.
literally means staying and getting what there is fully in your mouth, in your body, in your pussy. There's some men here in your cocks. Like
Mm-hmm.
really staying in. For women to have multiple orgasm, they often have to learn to stay with discomfort
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
get the next wave of pleasure. It's one of the most difficult things to teach women. If you want to have an ejaculation, ladies, if you want to have multiple orgasms, you have to be willing to stay, not tell your partner or yourself to stop. You've got to stay with it, even if it feels uncomfortable. So that's what we mean by staying with it. Who's going to masturbate tonight to Gypsy and stay with it and see what happens next? So thank you, Cosmo. I think
No, I
that's a good
absolutely
note. Is that a good note, everybody,
yeah.
to end on?
That is a good
Right?
note.
And we hope that you will join us for our brand new, um, I'm, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to be like a car salesman there. Click on
Boom.
that link as click on that link.
Come play
Check
with us.
out this new program. Come play with us. We're going to be doing some edgy, delicious, sexy stuff. And bam, Crystal said she's already signed up for the passport. Love
Boom.
it. So thanks, everybody. We really appreciate you joining us. And I'm going to hit stop record.
Thanks, everyone.
And we're loving you from here. I've got good lipstick because Cosmo said so. Bye. Thank you, Connie.